To run for president needs cuckoo land amounts of money. Where do they come from? It comes from here. Where does that money come from? And therefore, you have two people put up for president who are there because of the money provided by this network. Therefore, they've chosen not only who it's going to be, but they've sorted out what the policies are going to be in return for that money. And this is what they do. We think we're choosing our leaders. We're not. It's a myth. So people think, oh, I voted Republican this time. Oh, I'm going to put the Democrats in because I like that Obama. So when people say Big Brother Bush or Big Brother Obama, no, it's not. These are just puppets. Dance. I said dance. When I say jump, I mean Olympic high jump record. This is the thing. You take one mask off, you put another mask on. And because it's a different mask, we think it's a different administration. We think controlled by different forces. No, no. And what you have is the movie playing out in the public arena, people who appear to be in opposition to each other when they're controlled by the same puppeteer. And once you look beyond the movie, that's when you start to see what's really happening in the world. If we had a mainstream media associated itself with the true meaning of the word journalism, none of this would be possible. The same people that control the politicians own the media. And so the media is not there, just like governments, to serve the interests and inform the people. It is there to tell the people what those who own the media want them to believe.
Today's Des Moines Register asks a very valid question. Could Ron Paul win? Could Ron Paul win?
When you look at the Rasmussen polling data, the only Republican candidate that is ahead of Obama right now is Mitt Romney. The only one. Santorum and Gingrich and Perry and Bachmann, and Ron Paul is the worst.
Is someone who is not electable, is considered a fringe candidate by a majority of the party. That doesn't bode well for the future of the Iowa caucuses.
He's unacceptable in America. He's a disqualified presidential candidate, and not just because of what he's written.
Cutting $1 trillion in 1 year, getting rid of the Federal Reserve, and cutting all foreign policy entanglements is insanity.
And I think it's very difficult to see how you would engage in dealing with Ron Paul as a nominee.
You could not vote for Ron Paul.
He would have to go a long way to explain himself. I think Ron Paul's views are totally outside the mainstream of virtually every decent American.
Even if the congressman does do well, he will not be the Republican nominee because his positions on many issues are outlandish. But Ron Paul, with his soft approach to Iran, his gold standard madness, and other extreme positions, is not going to be nominated. President Obama would beat Mr. Paul by a colossal margin.
Ron Paul has zero chance of getting the nomination. Okay.
I called Governor Romney and congratulate him because he certainly had a clear-cut victory, but we're nibbling at his heels. And the Fed, right, and the Fed. Yeah.
Those are largely kids going more than largely nuts over a 76-year-old dude talking about reining in the Fed and pulling back our troops. That's a crowd that usually isn't engaged with or by or anything having to do with Republicans.
Sort of have to chuckle when they describe you and me as being dangerous. That's one thing, they are telling the truth, because we are dangerous to the status quo of this country.
76-year-old dude treated like a rock star.
Ron Paul is serious.
Look at how much the establishment is scared to death of Ron Paul. Because we're all corrupt, sellout politicians. It's about his effect on this endemic corruption. Rick Santorum, he'll keep it going. Rick Perry, Mitt Romney, all those other guys, who cares? They'll keep it going.
In my first year, what I would do is cut spending at the federal level by $1 trillion.
Ron Paul's policy is the most accurate based on what we need to face as a nation going forward.
First, talk about Ron Paul. The Texas congressman is running for the Republican nomination for president. For those who don't know, who is he, and why is the mainstream media written him off, even though he keeps leading in the polls?
Well, Ron Paul is in his 12th term in the House of Representatives. He has never voted for a tax increase. He has pushed to audit and abolish the private Federal Reserve. He has accurately addressed the global banker occupation that you've talked so much about, and he's been absolutely on target.
The Patriot Act is literally the destruction of the Fourth Amendment. We need to do a lot less, a lot sooner, not only in Egypt, but around the world.
What Ron Paul does have is authenticity. He is real. He's just genuine. I think he's honest. He has his convictions. Who put the Federal Reserve on the national agenda? So he had the courage of his convictions back there. And I think Ben Bernanke is someone who knows who Ron Paul is.
Why does a former career intelligence officer endorse Ron Paul for president in 2012?
Because he understands the very simple fact, Judge, that every action has a reaction. And he knows that the problem we're having in the Islamic world is based primarily on the fact that both parties, without exception, are interventionist. They want to get involved in everybody else's problems. Mrs. Clinton is more of a warmonger than George W. Bush.
Time they talk about Ron Paul is in a negative light. Listen to what Fat Boy Gingrich said about people like myself that support Ron Paul. No decent American would support his policy. Tell me I'm not a decent American, neuter. We can have it out man to man. Only the lunatic fringe supports Ron Paul. Let that little weenie come and call me a lunatic. Who are these people?
His philosophies are consistent. They do not waver based on political polls or public opinion. His principles are based in fact and logic, which is rooted in the very foundation of America. It's my great honor tonight to present to you Dr. Ron Paul.
Have you seen these politicians in Britain now? You've got Clegg in the Liberal Party, Liberal Democrats. You've got Cameron in the Conservatives. You're going to probably have one of the Miliband's, maybe David Miliband, leader of the other major party, and they're all standing on the same sodding postage stamp, all three of them. Same background, same basic perception of the world and politics. Now look, the number of countries that have been invaded, had regime change, or are now currently being targeted. They tried to get a green revolution after the last election in Iran, but it didn't stick. They have Iraq, they've taken that over. If they take Syria, then they're all the way through to Israel. They're in Afghanistan. They're now undermining Pakistan and bombing Pakistan more and more. They are targeting these areas because they not only want to take it over, they want to trigger a war involving China and Russia, the Third World War that their documents have talked about for a long time. The idea is to destroy America, to use America to destroy America. Why? Because when you want a world government dictatorship, you cannot have any superpowers that have the military and financial might to say no to what you're saying must happen. Because the world government intends to have a world army, a world central bank, and a world currency, eventually. And they'll manipulate the financial situation to bring that about, or try to. So what they need to do to take the superpower America out is they need to destroy it militarily, and they need to destroy it financially. And that's what they're doing. They're using it on their foreign excursions, and they're undermining its economy to destroy America. And it is going down the pan so fast.
No one can deny that the world is better off without Saddam Hussein. Oh yeah, my life is great. Everything's dandy without Saddam. Hey, listen, Dick, or is it Penis Cheney? You said that they had weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. You destroyed a whole country. You ruined the lives of so many thousands of our people and slaughtered hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Iraqis. How about the facts? How about bringing him and Bush up on war criminal charges? How about that Tony the Poodle Blair over there in the UK? How about all these people that you mentioned? Not one of them had role The only ones that get stopped are you and me and all the rest of the people out there that have become slaves to the system.
People are angry, and they've got their pitchforks. They've got their torches. They have historically used guillotines when people like Jamie Dimon get into the mix and steal with impunity. That's wrong. You know, you've been caught stealing money from Americans, stealing money from the globe, committing acts of financial terrorism, in bed with the terrorists. What do you mean it's enough is enough? Enough is not enough until you're in freaking jail. Jail!
When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it.